everyone, welcome to the live stream. My name is Mike Brightman, my company is Brightman Designs, and I design homes in Denver, Colorado using SketchUp Pro, LayOut, Lumion, and our Condoc Tools extension. So this is going to be our first go at a format like this where I'm just going to work on some real projects that I have on the boards right now and show you how I pull it all together from start to finish. We're just going to open the first Canvas scan and work on these projects together, and I'll have the chat panel going. Let me grab this, pop out the chat, and scoot it over here. And so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is work on, the first thing we'll do is take a look at this project. This is a basement I scanned in Denver. This is a bathroom renovation where we're just going to take we're going to kind of leave a lot of it intact, and we're going to add a sauna. So this is kind of a funky red countertop. I don't know if I have much of an opinion on that. I'm not the guy to pick colors. There's another view of it. The shower on the right-hand side, we'll probably kind of retile that, is my understanding. Leaving the vanity and sink in place. Let's see, as we turn around here, the door on the right will become a barn door from the other side, and the shower again will be kind of retiled. And at the bottom there's like a, that ledge or threshold to the shower there. So we'll get rid of that. And then as I was filming this, I didn't really get a great shot of like to the left of the shower here. To the left of the shower is where we're going to have the let's see, where we're going to have the sauna. Okay, so this is my first twirl on this setup of the live stream. I got some chats coming in. Not showing on, oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Let me start this video over here. Go like that. Got it. There's always something. Hopefully this is like the only issue we have. See, let me explain this. We got cool little screen switching setup going on, and so I appreciate you guys chiming in and let me know. So just kind of getting my bearings, and we'll get smoother as we go. But all right, so I've got, yes, focus SketchUp. Thank you guys for letting me know. So we'll just kind of start this video over here, and I'll leave this screen live. So this is the bathroom that we're working on. This is the kind of the countertop that I was describing. Pretty bold. To the right, the shower, we'll probably reconfigure that door, retile it. But really, I don't think that they're like overly dissatisfied with this bathroom as it is. We'll be getting rid of the tile and the threshold to the shower. And then, so on the right is the shower, and then on the left is where we're going to punch a hole in that wall and add a sauna. All right, so then as I'm backing up here, I'm going into this like, home gym workout room. And so, there's the entrance to the bathroom. And so that door will become a barn door. And then to the left of there is a closet. And so behind that TV is where that sauna is going to go. All right. So we'll be kind of removing that wall in there and making space for a sauna. Cool. Okay. So that's kind of the intro to this project. And I'm going to close that. We've got SketchUp happening. We've got LayOut on this screen. We got some project files here. So everything's cranking as it should. I think we're in good shape. So I can just kind of keep an eye on you guys up there. If something goes array, let me know. So we're just going to right click on this zip file and choose Extract All. And this is the actual zip file that I received from Canvas. All right. And then they do give you this scan as well. So this is kind of slick. They give you like either the CAD or the kind of photo version of it. So that's kind of handy to have that as well. And of course you can like pull some measurements off that at really any time too. So We'll get rid of that for now. And then in here, here's our first scan, and it comes with like all this DWGs and DAE CLOTA files and this and that. So we really just want the SKP. All right, so in SketchUp, I'm going to go to File, choose Open, and then I'll go to, let's see, this is kind of like our first episode. Basically what I'm going to do is just like start with the project files here, and I'll like kind of rebuild the project folder right here. So we'll go into Scan to CAD and then open that up. All right, so as we're working in here, I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to open up my Condoc Tools extension. And the first thing I always do is, by default, when you open up your Condoc Tools, it's on the Flex drawing set. Now, a drawing set is essentially like a collection of tags or layers, and it's like all your standards baked into a .condoc file that you can load up and then just load it into the Condoc system. And when you hit reset, it like sets up the design scene tab, your style, a lot of different, there we go. A lot of different things happen there that is kind of handy. So, all right. So then, but I got to tell you that like when you're working on a project like this, I tend to have, I tend to work with like the architect drawing set. All right, so I'm just going to load up the architect drawing set, and instead of using the traditional architect drawing set, I'm going to go with something just a little bit more advanced here to kind of tinker with something different. All right, so the architect plus drawing set behaves in a slightly different way. So let me show you the settings on this guy. So we'll go over here, and so on this specific drawing set, the default is to hide tags that are not defined in the drawing set. But on this drawing set, we're going to show tags not defined. And this is a new feature that we released, and I got to be honest, I didn't say much about it, but it's kind of this weird little thing that allows you to work with plugins that either have unpredictable tags, or you can also kind of work with two tagging systems parallel to each other. And I'll show you what that looks like. So whenever you load a new drawing set, all you have to do is hit the reset button and watch what happens over in my tags dialog. When I hit reset, it loads in. These are all of the tags that are defined in the drawing set. And anything outside of the folder is not defined in the drawing set. So when we create drawings using the Condoc tools with this drawing set, all of these tags are going to be forced on. So the canvas tags, at one point I did make a like a drawing set with the canvas tags, but then they changed their tags, and then it's kind of weird the way they do like 1_ or like the level _. So I found that it was easier just to kind of use this setup. So like you can see that there are ceilings and floors and walls. You can just kind of turn this stuff off and then hit reset to bring it all back on. All right, so the SketchUp tags are assigned to this geometry. Well, now what we're going to do is assign Condoc tags to this geometry as well. And this is how I kind of get an existing conditions model whipped into shape. So like I would select this ceiling scenario, and actually, first I'm just going to select everything and just say this is all interior and existing. So now everything that I've just tagged there is controlled by like our interior tag and our existing tag. So you can see how much quicker it is to assign tags than going up here into your drop down. And furthermore, I can assign multiple tags to one entity with our Condoc tags. All right, so now what I would do is I would go to my all elements off. So when I click that all elements off button, you can see that all of my element tags are now turned off. And so now if I select like the ceiling, I can just click ceiling. And so this guy here, these are ceilings. So as I tag things, they just disappear. So that'll be our walls, and this will be our floors. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. You just kind of chip away at it. So like this guy and this guy, these are all fixtures. So I turn those off. And then these are going to be doors like that. And so doors. And then the trim is a little bit messy there. So we'll grab all that and like that. And so we just hit trim. And then we can grab some more of that trim. Actually, I'll get this, and this will be a fixture. And this will be trim as well. And then, yes, sir. These, I gotta tell you, when I was working on, kind of testing all of these, the tagging system, and the first time that I got the version where the tags worked, I was laughing. It was like, it was something, you always think about, like, oh man, if I could assign multiple tags to one entity, it gets rid of this nested groups within groups within groups. And when I finally like felt it work, it was life-changing, right? All right, so that's gonna be windows, and then we have like ceiling equipment, and ceiling equipment would be like anything that, like fans and vents. I just throw that on the ceiling equipment tag. And then we'll take all this stuff and this. Those are all lights like this. And then all this stuff, I'm just going to call all this stuff trim. And, like some folks like to model all the switches and outlets inside of SketchUp. And I don't. I tend to use, for me, it's more of a diagram that I'm going to build in the layout, and it takes a lot of work to do that. Although I understand the value of it. If you're going to like create like interior elevations of every room and, call that out, like that would be a good idea. But typically the sets that I work on or the projects that I work on, I'm not really getting that far into the weeds on it. So. Okay, so you can see that like everything's disappeared, and the nice thing about working this way is that like it's a visual checklist. So now I can just hit the architect drawing set. I'm sorry, the reset button on the architect drawing set there, and it brings everything back. And then when I select things, you can see that our tags all show up here, and you're always getting that feedback. All right, so I suppose at this point. We could like create some drawings, and so maybe I would just hit like the plan generator, and this is a new project, so we haven't assigned done the project setup, so it's just asking like how many levels is it, and is there a basement, and so it's all good there. Keep in mind that like if you did have levels, we're measuring off of the origin, so I can hit save, and then on this one I'm just going to make an existing conditions plan. I'll click create plans. John Brock stepping in. What's happening, man? So yeah, now we've got our existing conditions: light, heavy, and hatch A. So the idea here is that when you tag things with like this level, element, location, and condition, it allows you to pull your model apart in meaningful ways. So like, now we know that we have like, these are existing, the existing tag is turned on for our existing conditions. We have like a heavy line weight, so we can pull apart like the walls and the floors and put them on a heavy scene. And then we can also pull apart like our fixtures and our doors and windows and put those on a light line weight like that. All right, so I'll hit reset. Reset always gets you back to good. Something that's going on here, like, this is our newish tag freeze tool. This is part of our Condoc Express tools. So I can just like click on my ceilings to turn off the ceilings tag like that. And then perhaps I would also turn off my ceiling equipment, and I'll leave the lights on. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go over into my scenes, and on the design scene, by default, the design scene does not save the visible tags, or maybe better to say like it saves your active section plane, style and fog, and shadow settings. But it doesn't hold on to visible tags. Well, sometimes I like to turn that on. And when I turn on the visible tags or check that property to save on, it snapshots what's currently the current state of my tags. All right, so now if I were to turn all elements on, and when I hit the reset button, it triggers this design scene, and it does some other things too. But like basically now, if I like get in here and I start, freezing some tags, or maybe I like isolate my lights, and when I hit reset, I don't have to keep going back and like turning off that ceiling. And maybe I get to a point where I want the ceiling on, and then I can just update that design scene. So it makes it pretty easy to kind of work the way you want to work. Each project's a little bit different. Okay, so now to kind of dial this thing in, I might if I select my door and my window and then isolate those, we got an issue here where these canvas doors and windows, for as wonderful as Canvas is, maybe one critique I'd have is that their doors and windows don't net a proper 2D graphic. So when I go over here and look at like my doors, I'm just getting like that slab in the window. I'm not getting like a true 2D graphic. So let's go in there. Let's go to our 3D warehouse and search for our condoc window like that. All right, and then you can see we've got I believe the 4.7. There's a few people that have duplicated our stuff. That's okay though. I'm gonna go with the Brightman Designs one because that's the one I made. I'll download that. We're gonna load this directly into the model, and I'm just gonna set it. I'll set it kind of off for a minute. And you know what? I'm just gonna isolate the doors and the windows again. I have a keyboard shortcut for that. It's I, and I'm going to delete. I'm just gonna trash those like that, and then I'm going to hit reset. And I believe that was it tilde key right under the escape key is my reset button keyboard shortcut. All right, so now I'm going to move this back over here and then use my scale tool and stretch that down into place. And so what you can see here is the dynamic window. As I stretch it, it rebuilds itself. And furthermore, it has a 2D graphic baked in. And on the condoc system, you can hit that 2D button, and then you can see what is your 2D graphic looking like? And you can see it in there. And if I right click, let's get back to 3D like that. If I right click and go to dynamic component and look at our component options, we have our 2D graphic placement. I'll just make it at 12 inches just so that we can see it a little bit better. And then switch back, and so now you can really see how that's going to look in 2D. But it's a little bit too big, so we're going to scale this back in like that. And so now we've got 2D, 3D like that. All right, then the other thing I want to do is I might just you can either freeze the trim, or you could isolate the walls. So you can see how these express tools, they keep you out of the tags dialog, and same with the condoc system. You can always get back to where you want to be and just say you know what, I'm working on my doors and my windows. I'm just going to isolate the walls and the windows for now, like that. So then we can go back to our 3D warehouse, and we are on, we'll just do condoc door like that. And here's the condoc 4.7 door. We'll load that right in here and place it. And let's just when I'm working with this, it came in this direction. So let's just kind of start here. We'll rotate this guy around by 180 like that, and then I'm going to scale this to a -1 enter. Let me do that again. Scale to -1 like that, and then I'm going to move it from, I like to place it getting all worked around here. I like to place it where the door is flush with the swing side. So for that, I might even just kind of isolate the 3D, and that way I can kind of get to that point a little bit easier, and then snap it in there. And then we can use our scale tool and kind of stretch it like that. and then stretch it like that. And then I'll just hit the reset button again, and then you can see that, like, you know, that door is sitting in there the way it should. All right, and then let me show you kind of a common mistake that I see a lot of with folks using conduct tools is, like, you know, you get back into this light viewport. Let's see, is this going to be a good example of it? If I go to heavy, okay, so this is a good example, is when I get to heavy, you know, why am I seeing that door, right? So, well, that's because this guy has not been tagged. So what I want to do is just retag this as, this is going to be like, you know, level 1 doors interior existing, like that. Now, if I go back into heavy, it's turned off. Light, it's turned on. We're in good shape. All right. So let's just keep working through here. And again, I'm going to, and then the window I didn't tag either. So that's going to be like level 1. As a matter of fact, everything here that we're seeing is level 1. So I'm going to untag it, retag it like that. So now everything is going to be level 1. Although I got to tell you that, you know, if you have one level, the level doesn't matter because there's nothing else to compare it to. So if we had multiple levels, it would be slick to be able to, like, break it up by level. But on this project, the truth is it doesn't really matter. So we'll just isolate our doors, windows, and walls. I'll hit I, and then I can select this guy, make a copy of it over to here. And so, you know, what we're doing is just getting the existing conditions dialed in. I'll make a copy of that. So you tap Control or Option on the Mac, rotate that around. I suppose you could use this flip tool like that. I don't know. I'm so used to using that scale tool. And then, you know, again, it's kind of annoying to have to zoom in to see that. So, you know, maybe the default of the conduct door, like, this should just be a little bit higher, but not a big deal. All right, and then, you know, let's get clever here. So instead of, like, moving it and copying it and then flipping it, let's just flip it and copy it. So I'll tap Control, and then we'll just flip it into place. And now, you know, maybe I shaved like a click or two off by doing that. So I guess that is kind of an advantage of that new flip tool, like that. Yeah, man, I agree. The flip tool was not so bad. And yeah, and Justin, I'm definitely with you on that, man. It's like, you know, it took a moment to catch on, but I think I mentioned at some point that I kind of retracted my early, like, why are we working on the flip tool? But I don't need another flipping tool, right? But I also would stick to that and say there's some other things I think that are some bigger fish to fry than the flip tool. But then I'll just take this guy, make a copy of it, like, let's see, make a copy of this straight across to there. This door, I forget which way it goes. I could even pull that video back up, I think. And I don't know if we see it in this video. It opens over to the right, so we'll just make it what it should be. Go flip, and like that, and like that. Cool. Okay, so now if I hit reset, you know, again, these, like, this door is tagged. These doors are not. So if I were to, like, isolate my doors again, and then just grab all this, I suppose I'll just grab these guys. That one's tagged. Oh, you know what? I was copying and using a door that was already tagged, so that's pretty handy there. So we're all set up. All of our doors are tagged. Our window is not interior existing, like that. So, you know, that's kind of a good example there of, again, how with the conduct tools you can, like, if I untag that window, and so I might go in and, like, isolate my doors. And then you would say, like, well, why is the window showing up? And you select the window and you can see that there's no tags assigned. So what I like about tagging this way, in using these, you know, like the tag freeze and tag isolate, is that it's a visual cue that something's wrong. So if I isolate my doors and I'm seeing a window, it's pretty clear that this is, you know, a window interior existing like that. All these guys are tagged the way they should be, and we're good. All right. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to do a save as. So File, Save As. I'm going to go to my project files, and then typically I would name this like, you know, my company prefix underscore bathroom sauna. I think I was calling it, yeah, bathroom sauna, something like that. Space dash space existing conditions, like that. All right, so that way I'm leaving my canvas scan intact. So I like to kind of start with that and then save it as my existing conditions so that, you know, I can always get back to the canvas scan. And of course, you could always go download it again, but it's nice just to like leave a record of that so that if you ever need to go back and mess with something, you can do that. So, all right. So far, so good. Check out, here's the whole studio setup here. We got everything cranking here. We've got, I'm still getting used to, I think I need to get something else on my screen over here because I'm kind of like half seeing myself talk. It's slightly distracting. So I'm going to put on our website traffic. You know, I don't really want to, I guess like as long as the stream is live, we're good. Maybe I'll be checking that every so often. Cool. So, but yeah, the idea here is that, you know, this is the way that I work. Like the kind of the setup here is with my 3 screens. You know, if I was typically when I was doing live streams or even doing tutorials, I'm in this room behind me where, you know, I only have 1 screen, but it is a 4K monitor. So it makes it really good for tutorials where you can zoom in and do all that. So the space behind me is great for doing those like kind of scripted tutorials. But when it comes to like getting things done, I definitely want to work on like 3 screens and have like my full setup here. So that's kind of the idea behind this new live stream series. Appreciate you guys being here. So, all right, back to it. Let's keep going. And I guess what we really need to do is let's check our drawings here. So, you know, we've saved it. We've got like our existing conditions set up. You know, we created those scenes. Oh, here's something I don't like. The canvas model comes with, you know, under window, model info, animation. I really don't need to see scene transitions or delays. So now like you just kind of snap to the scenes that you want rather than kind of like fading into them. It looks kind of neat, but not necessary when you're working fast to kind of delay 2 more seconds. So what I'm going to do is send this existing conditions plan over to layout. So I use the Condoc Drawings export. 1/4 inch is always the scale that I work at. And so, you know, it's kind of the default setup over there. And now as I scoot over here, we've got layout open. So I can go to File and start a new document over here. And we can go to My Templates. And so the whole point with the existing conditions drawings is going to be to make something that I can print and kind of sketch on top of typically. So I'll try 11 by 17 landscape. And whenever you run the Condoc export, all of your drawings land in the Condoc Drawings scrapbook. So now I can just drag and drop those in. And you can see that 1/4 inch on this sheet size, I mean, it's okay, it's fine, it would work, but I think that we could probably get away with starting a new document at letter 8.5 by 11 landscape like that and drag it on. So, you know, and then I just like to kind of scoot things around and keep these viewports kind of snug. Like all of the drawings that are exported by the Condoc export, they all come in grouped. So, you know, if you double click in, you can like select individual viewports and you can see, you know, how this all kind of shakes down. So, we can go to our SketchUp model. You can see like here's the heavy, here's the light, and here's the hatch. All right, so I'll just hit undo, 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 and back out of there. And I can tell you that like really there's never any reason to be tinkering around in there. You know, it's like if you want to get in and modify one viewport, you can do that. But for the most part, when it comes out of SketchUp, you're good to go. And I gotta tell you that like I never ever use any of these overrides. And furthermore, when you're using the condoc tagging system, these overrides aren't going to translate. So really it just further reinforces my preference is to always make all the updates in SketchUp and then update your scene and then see those changes propagate over here in layout. All right, so yeah, looking at this, I mean, the only thing I don't really love about this drawing right off the bat, you know, is like maybe this floor and this wall. I don't know, maybe I'll just like stretch that back so it doesn't look like it's kind of ending. And same thing here. So I'm gonna come back over here into SketchUp and hit reset. And then, you know, I just remember that the floor, you know, this is part of the basement. So I could just kind of pull the basement out like, you know, something like that. Perhaps I would pull this guy back to here. And I don't know for sure what happens in that back room, but I'm guessing it's something like that. So that looks good. And that way we're not going to get these lines right here. And we're going to have a line back there. I would think that this wall kind of carries on. That's my guess. So let's just, you know, kind of make an assumption that that this is kind of the wall there. I'll use my push-pull tool and then tap Control like that and like that and get rid of those edges. And I probably didn't need to make a copy of the starting face. I can hide the rest of my model and, you know, make sure like, you know, something like that will show up, like these little edges. And I do have a plugin. I'm going to triple click and then right click and choose delete coplanar edges. So that's kind of a handy way to quickly clean up any of those coplanar edges. I can tell you that before I did that though, I copied this geometry just in case. Sometimes delete coplanar edges will trash some other surfaces that you didn't want it to. And you can undo, but it will undo like one deletion at a time, and it's kind of goofy. So anyways, I've gotten in the habit of like, I copy it before I do that. I'm gonna hit save. And now this brings me to like another point that I've recently kind of gotten onto, which is, you know, I really don't like going to File, Document Setup, and then grabbing this window and going to References and then selecting this, and then you have to hit Update, right? And when I hit Update, you know, all that stuff comes in. So there you go. All right, so I really don't like doing that, and I don't like these lines either. We'll do another another little trick or technique there. Let's do this first though. Let's close this SketchUp model, and in layout, let's go to File, Document Setup, and we'll grab our references here. And instead of opening our SketchUp model and our layout presentation, I'm going to open my SketchUp model from layout, from the references. All I have to do is hit edit. All right, so when I open up my SketchUp model from layout, it creates like a live sync. And so let's get rid of this. And so now we've got our SketchUp model set up. And so now we can kind of look at like, let's get rid of that. We can look at getting rid of these edges. All right, so like really all that is like, you know, this edge and this edge. And so I'm just going to use my line tool and draw a line there to like break that edge. And then I'm going to select those two edges, and you can see what that looks like. And then this is where I will use a SketchUp tag. So the condoc tags can only be assigned to groups and components. And that was more of a performance thing, where if you think about like, you know, scanning a model for how many groups and components do you have versus like how many groups, components, and edges and surfaces do you have, we just limited it to only tagging groups and components. But this is like one of those little scenarios where I would assign the one kind of like exception to the rule is always off. So either always off or visual. Actually, you know, I'm going to use visual merge. That's really more what it's intended for, although they kind of do the same thing. So let's do that, and then let's go look at like heavy. So heavy, we're still seeing, oh, what are we seeing? Like profiles, maybe visual merge, or maybe my first instinct was correct. Let's see, always off, always off. There we go. Yeah. All right, and then you're also kind of seeing it down low too. So let's get rid of that as well. So I'll use my line tool and then break that. So this is just one of those little things you got to do if you want to kind of, you know, trick this thing around. And I'm going to select those edges as well, those verticals, like that, and we'll call it always off. Let's see if that gets us where we want to be. There we go. All right, now here's the magic, right? I got to open up my Condoc system again and get our tags out, and then I'll hit reset. I'm going to save this, and watch, as soon as I go over into layout, I mean, you probably didn't even catch that. Like, it rendered instantly and got rid of those edges. So it's like, as soon as layout, I don't know if it's like as soon as your cursor is like hovering over layout, it like updates and renders. And also that auto render setting under, what is it, edit, preferences, general, automatically re-render SketchUp models as needed. I keep that on. Definitely in the beginning, for sure. I always keep it on. I keep it on until it becomes a problem. So as the set of drawings grows, if like performance starts dragging, I would turn that off and then start rendering manually by like right-clicking and hitting render models on page, or the keyboard shortcut Control R. So for now though, it's all good. I mean, this is like a super lightweight project. So it renders really quick, and I think that's where that wall ends. And then maybe if I were just being really picky about this project, I might just say like, I think that this might even continue a bit, and then perhaps I would just like use my push-pull like that. And let's check it, save it, and I put my cursor over here, and then I get my wall. So by opening my SketchUp model from layout, by opening the SketchUp model from layout, I don't have to go to File, Document Setup, References, and then reload the reference. And by using that auto render, I don't have to like right-click render or use a keyboard shortcut ever. So this is the way to work, I'm telling you. So. Okay, when it comes to these existing conditions drawings, I suppose at this point I would just hop over to my scrapbooks and go to my Condoc annotations, and then on the second page we have some decent drawing titles. I might say like, existing conditions. Usually I do like plan and then, existing, something like that. And this, I kind of like to make it the text style, I would say, make that like a little smaller, and perhaps I would make this bold, something like that. The default, like I said, the default scale is a 1/4 inch. I mean, I always draw a 1/4 inch anyway, typically. So, taking this all in, it looks pretty decent. I mean, as far as existing conditions go, I would just export this. So File, Export, PDF. Here's our project file. So if I just start typing like BD, you can see it comes up with this file name, and I would just name it existing conditions like that. And I would be a little bit more, meticulous in my folder and file organization. But, for this one, I think we're in good shape. So export that. And then there it is. So that's about as easy as it gets for creating existing conditions drawings. So, at this point, I would say we can like, print this, and then you would move over. I typically, I like to work with paper, pencil, markers. I would print it out and go do my thing and figure out the space plan here. All right. So, but honestly, this is such a simple project. It really does not warrant all that much effort in design, because what we're going to do is we are going to like blow out this wall and rebuild it right here. and we're gonna like, we're gonna demolish this kind of closet system, hopefully demolish it in a way that it can be reused, and hang a barn door here. I don't think we can reuse this door, but that's it. Like, so there's not a whole lot going on. So I would say, like, at this point we can close this out and get rid of that. And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna open the final project. So I'll open this, and let's see, project files. Yeah, I don't have that in here. I don't have the final. So we're going to open from our projects and like this. And you know what? I'm going to get rid of that. We're going to open, I think I have it in a different one. Projects, content is where I want to look. Content. Right here, yeah, this is where I have bathroom sauna expansion. Okay, so now, there we go. Okay, so this is kind of like the final drawings that I created. So here's our existing conditions. I kind of trimmed it up a little bit different on this one. And this is kind of where we're going with it as far as, final product. And I think that what we'll do together here as well is like create some interior elevations, and we'll create a demolition plan. Even though it's like a really simple project, might as well, because the clearer you can be on paper, the less mistakes are made in the field. So, so this is where we're going. All right. So, also we want to, I don't know, like how much, detail we need to add to the doors. I think that let's work on the drawings first, and kind of work on the drawings, get those dialed in, and then we can start adding some detail and talk about some renderings, see how that looks. All right, so I'll leave this open for now, and let's get over here, close this, and kind of keep working on some drawings. All right, and everything's still running as it should be as far as I can tell. All right, I like this setup where I've got like this screen switching plugin going, and Stream Deck. Like, took a little bit of effort to get this thing set up, but I like it. Kind of takes all the button pushing off my plate, and I just kind of work on things. So, okay, so this is our existing conditions model. So we're gonna save it, and I guess I'm gonna like slightly possibly backtrack, because it's always a good idea to get your existing conditions like as far along as you can. And so, maybe what we should do is like button up some more of the existing conditions, like get our floor materials and our, maybe get like the vanity and the sink set up the way it should be. Perhaps we'll also like make the doors what they should be too. I'll just kind of keep going back to this video, because like if I go look at these doors, you can kind of see it there. You can see a door over to the left there. Let's see, that would be a good example of that door. So, like maybe we just go in and we model the door the way it should be, and we paint the trim the way it should be. And that way, the reason I'm saying this is because the more effort you put into making the existing conditions model accurate, that's going to kind of propagate through to the proposed conditions. So it's kind of a good idea just to get it as far as you want to take it. So I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on that. Now I'm waffling. So because on the other hand, the existing conditions model is going to be left behind, right? It's like, we got our drawings out of it, and this is about as far as we need to take the existing conditions. But so it really doesn't matter, I guess. I'm just kind of thinking it through. Let's just stick with the plan here. We'll button up this existing conditions model. So like this guy here, this is Canvas like puts the sink in, you know, separate from the vanity. And so let's kind of get all this dialed in. And, you know, I'm going to select this stuff, and, or actually I'm just going to grab this sink. I'm going to take all these off here. I'm going to cut it, and we're going to double click in, and I'm going to make this into a group, and I'm going to paste in place. So I have a keyboard shortcut for paste in place, Control-Shift-V. And so now that's all set up, and let's see. And so now we got to go find some details for our vanity setup here. So I need to stop closing that media player. All right, so like let's see what does this look like here. So we're gonna paint it like a red, you know, whatever. So all right, so we got to get like red on there. We'll add some detail to the cabinets. You can kind of get a glimpse of the poles. All right, so let's go find a faucet. So I would go to Window, 3D Warehouse. I gotta say that it's rather unfortunate that Form Fonts is done, right? So I guess Form Fonts is kind of like, I don't know if they're like out of business or what they're doing, but they're like not taking on new customers, and I don't know, maybe even the website's down, or maybe my internet's being weird. I don't know. But anyway, so normally I would just go straight to Form Fonts, but we'll see. So let's go with like a faucet and see how the 3D Warehouse comes up. So, you know, not so bad here. This is okay. You know, let's try something. Let's do this. I'm gonna hit print screen. Let's see if we get any action out of like grabbing this image, and then we're gonna do, let me see here, like this, and I'm gonna copy, and then we're gonna go to Photoshop, and we're just gonna try an image search there. Like this, new, create, paste, file, export, temp, we'll call it faucet. Let's see, I'm just curious if like this image search comes up with anything in the 3D Warehouse. And we'll go to our temp folder. There's our faucet. No, not so much. So that's funny what it came up with. Maybe it wasn't a great picture, but let's try go back and just stick with the faucet. So anyways, you know, I would probably just go with something like this. I'll download it, load it directly into the model, and like set that there. And you know, when I'm looking at like, you know, that compared to that, I think that we're in pretty good shape. Like, you know, the truth is it really doesn't need to be perfect. It just really, or it doesn't need to like match perfectly. It just, you know, it's like, it just needs to look right and not be noticeable more so. All right. So then I'm just like, find that midpoint, you know, scoot it back. And yeah, the textured walls in Colorado, it is, I don't know what it is. Some of the style choices in Colorado, it's like there's some really good stuff and there's some really like not good stuff. Some of that, like the mountain homes drive me nuts with, they're just big and I don't know, like I guess it's like anywhere, you know, like the McMansions, but really don't dig that. So this is a new house too, kind of modern as well. All right, so that's in place. And then if I like look again, you know, the sink is actually not being represented accurately. The sink is like this undermount. So I think I would just take well, let's see, what do we have going on here? So this is kind of goofy. I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna group it and delete it. Let me undo that. I'm gonna take this and copy it. So I'm just copying these edges here. I'm going to delete that, and then I'm going to paste in place, and then I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to unhide the rest of the model. So like I really need like this. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it into here. And then we're gonna get rid of, like, get rid of this. And I know there's a more clever way to do this, but I think I can like triple click on these guys now. Yeah. So I can just triple click to select all connected edges, delete those. And then, this I'm going to push down by like, 1.5 like that. And then this I'm going to tap Control. So they're calling this 2 inches. I'm just going to stick with the 2 inches. Let's do that, and then let's do 0.5. Let's do that. All right. And then, so this, I think, yeah, that's where we're like seeing beyond. So now we're kind of seeing the thickness. I'm going to tap Control and soften these edges like that and like that. Oops, Control. All right, so now we've got like our countertop. And then, yeah, this is coming up too thick. Let's see, I'm going to redo this. And then I'm going to check my dimension here. That's at 2 inches, so I need to move this up by 0.5. And then we can delete that. And now, we should be in okay shape. All right, so now... I don't really love the way that they've modeled this. I mean, like I said, Canvas is great, but they're not in the business of like accurately modeling all the vanities. Although maybe they could get more clever with their default library. But I want to get like the counter and the backsplash and all that stuff kind of separate from the cabinets. That's typically the way I like to see it. Yeah, I mean, and that's absolutely spot on. Like if we had everything in the 3D warehouse, like, what I would recommend is SketchUp should just buy out the Form Fonts library. I mean, I don't know. How much would that really cost? I don't know. It seems like whatever it is, it'd be well worth to just acquire that content and then just put it on the 3D warehouse and perhaps make it like a special category or I don't know what, but just like, or, bake it into the install. It's probably be a huge install, but something where we have access to that content. I've got a ton of it that I've saved over time, but like, now it's not there. So anyways, all right, so I'm going to hide rest of model. Here's a little trick. You can right click on a surface and choose align view and then go to like camera parallel projection. My keyboard shortcut F8 toggles between those. And that allows you to make like a nice clean selection like that. And then I can like group this. And then I could like group this. So, you're just kind of like getting these pieces, pulled apart. So you've got like a sink here. You've got your sink. And then we can explode this. So then we have a countertop and we have like the cabinets. And it just makes it easier to work on and kind of, bring it up to, what it should be, like model it like accurately. And I can tell you that when it comes to renderings, these lines aren't going to show through. So, you might even want to like, model like these poles and just a little separation there. But let's add a red texture. So I might even just use like a default texture. So let's see, like a stone and I suppose really any of these would be fine. And then I'll edit this material and we'll make it red. And, it seems pretty extremely red. This one has like a little bit more sparkle to it. Let's edit this. Let's bring it down to like 24 inches. And I don't know, maybe this would be a better material. Edit that. Give it a colorize. And it makes me nuts that like these default SketchUp materials don't come in at like what I would say is a proper scale. Maybe this should be like 2 feet, maybe even like 1 foot, So I don't know. I think the other one was actually better. So we'll just leave it at that. I don't feel like digging into the material library for this right this second. And yeah, I don't know. I do get to be a bit of a perfectionist, don't I? Let's dial this up, colorize it. That's probably better like that. That's kind of more accurate. So that's cool. And this one's at a different scale. So I don't know, 12 was probably fine like that. And all right, so that looks good. Okay, and then like for modeling these poles, I'm gonna again align my view here, and then I'm gonna use that Zorro tool. This is a freebie. You can like slice with the Zorro tool. I just tend to use that a lot. I'm gonna group it, cut it, and then drill in here and paste in place, explode it, paint it. That looks pretty good. And again, I think I would like to see, I guess that's what like this is really all about is, I would personally get hung up on modeling this the way I'm doing it. It kind of bugs me to see that scenario. So I'm gonna group it, delete it. And, I really want to see this bottom. Like I want it to kind of be a solid, because like if I end up cutting through it, I want it to show up properly. All right. And then this needs to just be, God, I forget the term. What do we call this? Like rehealing, and then erase, and then trim that out, and then trim that. I'll hit reset, hide rest of model like that. And like that, that's probably fine. And I suppose you could kind of have, is this like off axis? What's going on here? So we got like this. Oh, I just can't see it. That's all. So yeah, maybe I would add these lines in there just to, just in case they show up at some point. Probably do something like that. Cool. All right. And yeah, and John with Brockworks, you're dreaming, man. You're dreaming. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a standard that could ever get anyone all on board, but maybe you'll get there, man. Maybe you'll do it. I'm gonna, to create those poles that we have going on, I'm just gonna offset by like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, and then make them like 1.5 inches or so. So I'll make one here, 2 inches. Then we'll come down like maybe 3 inches. I'm going to draw a square and tap Control to go about the center. And I'll type 1, and then double click, make it a component. And then I believe I have to unglue that. And then then click and move it on the red. And we want to move it out here by like say 1 inch. Double click in, push pole back by like 1/2 inch. And then over here, I'm going to offset by say 1/4 inch. And then we'll pull this and bring the model back like that. And then this is a component. So now I can like use my flip tool. Is that what we're calling it? Flip. Tap Control and then flip it. And then I can drill in and use my paint bucket tool. See if I have anything worth using in my model. I'll just add a new material based on that. And then we'll take this and make a copy of it over to the midpoint here. And then, I don't know, what are we doing with, oh, those are kind of different. That's okay. We'll kind of, we'll turn this into that. And these even have like a little bevel on it, which, not critical. Let's see, Mark, what's happening, man? I'm gonna drill in here. I'm gonna offset this by like 0.125, and just to make it easier on our eyes, I'm gonna edit that material just so we can kind of see the line work a little bit better. And then I'm just gonna move it and tap the the left arrow, up arrow key, and scoot it out this way by say 0.125, enter. Like that. And when you auto fold like that, then you might even consider softening these edges. It's you know, I don't necessarily want that line work to show up. It would be pretty heavy in, you know, in elevation, but you know, that might soften it for a rendering if we go that far. Control E is my keyboard shortcut to clear my guides. All right, so then this guy here, I'm gonna move it 3 inches that way and then copy it 6 inches that way. And then I'm gonna group these and then select all and explode them. And then I'm going to use my push-pull tool like that. And then we're gonna kill that edge there. Let's see. Let's turn on our hidden geometry it's under view, hidden geometry. My keyboard shortcut is Alt-H. And so for this, we can just get crafty with like our move tool. So you're just kind of like scooting these pieces into place like that. And then you can get rid of those like that. And then of course those. And again, you know, like I could like copy all this stuff and then delete coplanar edges. You just got to be careful. Like, you know, that all worked out the way I want it to, but sometimes kind of goof up. So, I mean, that looks close enough, right? So that looks good. And then maybe I bring this back to a little bit darker, back out of here. If I hit reset, we'll get back to our style that we want. And then this guy, you know, these pieces, I'm going to cut them out of here, paste them back in here, hide the rest of my model. Maybe I'll like move this straight down and snap to my midpoint and then make a copy down here and do it 2x enter like that. All right. And then like I was saying, the, you know, those cabinets aren't going to, they're not going to render properly. Although I will say this, that if you add the gaps between the different panels and things and drawers, it's going to end up being kind of heavy on your interior elevations. But if you're making renderings, those aren't going to show. So I guess, you know, for us, I'm gonna let's see what they look like, because we'll make our interior elevations at a bigger scale. We'll go to like 1/2 inch, and that way the line work won't be so heavy. So like, you know, maybe I'll go in here and I don't know, what is that dimension? 2 inches. We'll take their word for it. So I would just like, you know, group. I would make this into a component, create, double click, group it, delete it. I would make this into a component, create. I would group and delete those. I would make a copy of this straight down 2 times. And then I would just kind of cheat and say, you know what, these are probably supposed to be the same. So I just selected all 3 and then scaled them so that they're kind of equal. This guy, we're going to go back to here, tap Control, and then I'm going to back out. And so now I can delete these. I can take this, cut it, and then paste it in place, and cut this guy and paste it in place. And so now we're getting kind of a, you know, a much more, you know, like efficient model, right? So let's pull this out by say 0.75, and we got to scoot this guy back out by 0.75, enter. Yeah, I hear you on that, Justin. It's like, I know, it's like I'm modeling these cabinets, you know, it's like this really isn't what I would want to be doing. But I do it because, you know, it's like it just needs to look right. And yeah, I haven't found, I mean, even the dynamic components, it's like you can muddle it together, but then it's actually like challenging to explode dynamic components. I guess Flex Tools has like their special blow up zap tool, which zaps components so they lose all their behavior. So that could be kind of good. It's just like, you know, stretch it close and then zap it, but still, it's really not a perfect workflow. Look at this scenario too. That's not accurate either. Oh man, what am I getting myself into? All right, so then I would just draw like a rectangle back there. this guy, I would just take it and move it by like 0.125 so that I have like 1/4 inch gaps on there. And then, let's see, where did I put that? I think I drew that rectangle in here. We need to cut it. Let me see. What did I do? Oh man, I'm gonna cut that. Yeah, I goofed up. I do that sometimes. And let's see, like that. All right, so now you got your pieces there. I need to back out one, and then this is gonna be its own thing, and then I would go in there like that. This should probably have a material on it too. I'm gonna like add a new material and just make it, I'll just make it something kind of goofy for a moment and paint it like that. This looks like some kind of cabinet that John Brock would install somewhere. Like paint it here like that. And then these guys, we haven't worked on those yet, so we're gonna pull out by 0.75 like that. And then we're gonna scoot this piece out by 0.75 like that. And then I'll like, you know, push this by 0.125. And then using my push-pull tool, I can double click and get it again. This guy here, like that. And I just kind of use like a goofy color like that so, so I can really see it, because the white tends to be so close. Tends to be so close to the default material. And this is kind of, I did something kind of funny here. Let's fix it. I'm going to go component edit, and I'm going to hide similar components. That's the problem. Look at that. See, I got them like flipped around where this face is over in the wrong place. Like it needs to be like that. And then with the paint bucket tool, I'll hit shift, and you can like kind of hit everything all in one shot like that. And all right. And then this guy, you know, get rid of that. And there we go. All right, then let me get in there. And then I'm going to, you know, kind of cheat on this. Like, you know, the scan said one thing. And so I'm just going to set a guideline out here. And let's go on the left arrow key, the right arrow key. So we're coming out, you know, 21.5. I don't know. I guess I'll just kind of come out a little bit further, like just give it like a 1-inch overhang like that. And I think we're in good shape. And then I'll take this, and I'm going to edit that and change it back to white. And I guess this trim piece, I mean, really, let's fix it, you know? Let's take all this and move it. Well, what is it actually? I mean, I wonder if we have like a good view of it, right? It's classic, like whenever you go and film. Yeah, of course, there's like a 1.5-inch filler piece on the end there. So let's do that. So I would say like 1.5, and I'm not going to get hung up on what these actually are. And we'll just pull this over like that. And I think we're learning a good lesson here that I'm going to cover in just a moment, which has something to do with like where you spend your time. That looks fine to me. And then I'll take this piece and make a copy of it. Let's see. Let's draw a guideline out here like that. Hide the rest of the model. And then, you know, this is going to be like a filler piece. I can copy it, paste it, pull it out to here, and then push this piece back by 0.125. Enter. Like that. Group it like that. All right. There we go. Save it. And let me say this. I don't know how long I just spent screwing around with this vanity. It does make me, it makes me a little bit nuts to leave things and not have them, you know, modeled accurately or clean. So I did spend the time, and I think I would spend the time on this project, and I did. We could open that model, but I don't want to convolute things and start looking at that one too. But the idea here is like, what am I being paid to design? What am I doing? Like, what are the drawings I'm making? What are we even doing with this vanity? I mean, the truth is that like on this project, the work that I'm hired to do is the sauna, which is like over here. And yet I just spent, you know, 20 minutes screwing around making sure that this vanity looked just the way I want it to. If I was doing renderings, which, you know, for this project, I think we will do some renderings just to say we did it, even though I didn't necessarily do that for the real project, it would be worth it. So I think it is time well spent here. All right, well, let's cooking over here. John says his cabinet vendor sends the models. That's good. Yeah, that is cool. Like if they're giving you the models exactly as they're going to be built, that's killer. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're going to keep working on this this format and just keep going, and you know, just see how I just get after it and get things done. So hopefully this will be helpful for you guys to watch. What the heck happened here? Let's see. I need to get this this chunk. Like something happened here where this got filled in. I'm sure it was that like, oh, okay. So we can just take, I need this, let's see. I need my sink. All right. So I need this piece. And I need this piece. But I don't really want, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to cut that out. So I don't want this, and I don't want, all right, let me show you an advanced selection. I want this inner ring, but I don't want this, and I don't want this outer ring. So I can hold Control and Shift and eliminate that outside, copy it, drill into this piece, paste in place, delete, and now that should be good. And, you know, I guess you could just kind of say that, like, perhaps this just doesn't even need to be there, really. Like, this can go away like that. That's fine. Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm going to save this, and let's keep moving here. So, you know, again, part of the vanity, this is level 1, fixtures, interior existing. We're good. I'll just throw a mirror on here, like this, and then I'll pull it out by, say, like 1/4 of an inch, and then I'll triple click, make it a group, and then scoot this over like that. And then I'm going to push pull it up like this. And, you know, again, I'm not being hung up on dimensions here. I'm just kind of matching, you know, like what they did. It just kind of went up to that, near that light. So I think that that's kind of okay. The light could probably like extend out. So let's do this. I can move this on the red by, say, 6, and then move this on the red by, say, 6, like that. And I think we'll just stick with what they've got. Here's the oldest trick in the book for a mirror in SketchUp. You're going to use the, from the metal collection, you use the corrugated metal shiny, right click, texture, position, and then just make it huge. And then, you know, you can like rotate it like that. There you go. That works for a mirror. Okay. And I do have a space navigator here, which, you know, sometimes when you're watching somebody model, it's kind of dizzying for me to be orbiting around, but I don't like the space navigator. I'm trying, like, I guess when, you know, when I have a chance to use it, I will, to try and like smooth things out. I like the way it looks, but I don't like to use it. It slows me down. So I'm sure that'll spark a debate out there. All right, so save that. And all right, so now, okay, we're going to also add some textures. So like, let's take a look briefly. And this is where we could go back to the scan. So here's our canvas scan, like that. And so, this can be kind of handy to look at the scan and then, like, okay, so this is kind of a tile here. So kind of a long tile. And this is all concrete. Yeah, okay, so that's all concrete out there. Yeah, everything else is concrete, so cool. Concrete and tile, that's easy. So back to SketchUp, we need to kind of break up the textures on the floor, but really the only thing we need is the bathroom is the only thing that I can tell is different. So to do that, this is where, perfect job for like the Express tools. If I select my walls and floors and then isolate them, so now it's like, it automatically turns off all those tags that weren't selected. So isolates my walls and my floors like that. And then I can kind of easily draw in the draw in these material breaks. So like on this, I might just draw like a simple rectangle there and then hop back over here. And when I'm looking at like the threshold, it's like on the inside here, but yep, on the inside on both. All right, so we're good. All right, so I'll go back to my materials, and I could even check and see if I've got like project files. Let's go to like our resources, and we've got like our materials. I organize my materials the same way that Lumion does. I thought they came up with a pretty nice system. So like indoor and then carpet, but unfortunately that one's empty. So, and really good resource for this. And the way it always goes is, right when I'm gonna show it, it's like when their site's down or my subscription has elapsed. But let's log in here and see what SketchUp Texture Club has. Let's go. And like that. And let's search for, I mean, like this website costs like $9 a year or something. And I might have lapsed. So let's go with carpet like that. Yeah. So, I mean, or I'm sorry, tile is what I'm looking for, not carpet. I keep thinking there's carpet in that bedroom. Tile like that. And oh man, yeah, tile goes on forever, doesn't it? Let's just come up with something generic like this. And okay, so we'll go into our SketchUp collection, which I hate to do. Not that. Not that. They were kind of like longer tiles than that. Let's see, texture. Let's edit this. We could always break the, I don't like that either. All right. Let's see what we got here. I just forget if I even have a subscription. Let me see. Download free club member. Okay. Tile. Let's sort it out. I don't know. We're not in like a huge rush, I guess. So we'll go through and find our tiles interior and tiles tiles, interior, and man, I don't even know how they organize this stuff. I think marble tiles might get us closer because they're pretty, well, either that or plain color. I don't love any of those. Let's try marble tiles. Yeah, closer. Let me look at that video again and back it up a notch. There you go. Okay, so kind of large floor tiles there. God, just a simple tile is really all I want. Of course, you know, they don't have the one you're looking for. So tile. Where do you guys get tiles? Yeah, the native SketchUp. I mean, just like buying out form fonts, like maybe they should just buy out this and just give us like good textures. Why not? You know, like, I mean, the textures are so lame, like you said, man. They're really bad. I just want a simple texture. Come on. Okay. I mean, this is closer. It's just not the right pattern, right? So, like, that's closer. I'll tell you what. Here's an old trick. Let's go for it. All right. I'm just gonna paint this with. I'm gonna paint it with like a concrete, and I'll just use their. And actually, I do have. I'm rather certain I have. Concrete textures that are decent. Yeah, like something like that. All right, so that's kind of like the look I'm going for. Are we not gonna drag that in? Oh, that is an SKM. Oh, cool. All right, so maybe I like never do it like this. And I mean, look at how clunky this whole process is, you know. Like, I want it. Why is it on this picker? Let's do this. There. All right, and then let's edit this texture. Let's bring it down to like something smaller. And I'm going to draw a rectangle at like 12,24. And then I'm going to right click. And I'm going to make it a unique. Actually, first, I'm going to darken it up like that. And we're going to colorize it. And right click. We're going to do this too. We're going to offset by, say, 0.125. And then I'm going to duplicate this texture and make it really dark. And then I'm going to go in here and paint that. And then I'm going to select both of those and make a combine textures. Yes. And now I can like sample that. All right. So, you know, that's okay. It's kind of okay. Not great, but going the wrong way. So let me undo this like that. And this texture here is actually, this one is kind of like a tan. So let's lighten it up. I kind of went the wrong way with it. So these guys, we're going to combine those. And then we can like do that, get rid of those, and texture, rotate 90, enter. So that's close enough, right? Yeah, not a bad trick, right? Yeah, even clunkier on Mac, right? All right, and then I'm going to dial that up to like 30 inches, and I think that would be good. And here's the truth too on that, is that like in SketchUp, I just needed to look close, right? You know, when it comes to a rendering, I would then really go dig in and find all these textures, and maybe I would even like swap it over in Lumion, but I don't know. Anyways, that gets us moving here, so I'll hit reset, and we're kind of getting close, right? That looks good. So I think like probably where we're going to get to today, I'm going to keep working for another 30 minutes. I appreciate you guys being here. You know, hanging. I don't know how many. We got 24 folks on here at one time. That's cool. Yeah, it's good to know somebody's here to hear what I got to say. And yeah, so I think today we'll just kind of like work through and get this existing conditions model dialed all the way. And then that'll leave us, you know, a little something to do on the next one. But I'll probably pick up with a different project next time. Cool. So that looks good. And then, you know, we also are like lacking on, you know, the shower hardware and stuff. I mean, this might be some like feature requests for Canvas would be like, you know, getting the toilet paper holder in there, getting this towel, like, yeah, where do we go? Like the, you know, the hand towel holder. I mean, those are things that are, you know, here's a towel holder. I mean, those are things that are kind of nice to have, and they're not in here. So, and it's kind of an annoying, you know, it's really kind of annoying to have to like mess with this. These are like tedious little things to do. And actually, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking like I should really like refine my components browse or component collection. Let's see, where's our let's do this. Let's try component finder from Flex Tools. Let's see, and I'm probably gonna mess this up. We're gonna add a folder. So BD components, fixtures. Okay, so I don't access subfolders from here. All right, so this is kind of cool. This allows you to kind of search and get around much better than the kind of default component browser. So, and let's see, I can zoom. I like that. And so now I'm going to look for like I guess I've got a towel holder there. I don't know what it's like. I got to pick one thing and go for it, right? What is the, yeah, let's get our towel holder handled like this. Okay. That's one towel holder that could be of value. And I'll just close that for now. And, you know, it's kind of like pretty ornate. What they got going on is rather simple. So I wonder if I could like quickly, you know, kind of get some of the ornamentation out of this thing. Like if I just take, you know, Control 1 is my plan view. And, you know, perhaps I could like, you know, take this stuff and get it out of there. I don't know if this is going to be like a good method or not. So group it and delete it, torch all that, and then reheal this like that, push pull that, and then, you know, get rid of this, group it, delete it, triple click, and then get in here, reheal this like that, and, you know, pull that out. I don't know. Is that even, I mean, that thing is so sleek. It's really probably fine. And let's see, the towel should just be kind of its own group. And then perhaps I would like hide rest of model, and then, you know, like I would go to plan view, zoom extents, parallel projection, get back to Zorro and just slice it, and then kill this, and then all this. Again, we can use our lovely flip tool, and now flip it like that, and then get rid of that. So I mean, you know, it's at least not so ornate, and I didn't have to, you know, model it from scratch, so that's kind of cool. Let's see. Flip tool coming at you again. I'm eating my words on that. I don't know. I really don't like what I did with this, but that's okay. Let's go scoot that down. Yeah, so I guess this is where really what I should do. I really should like button up my component collection I mean, that would be, you know, like clean this up so that I really have everything I need right away. Like, I don't love that towel. Like, find a towel and towel bar that I actually like, and then, you know, make sure that it's always there. I don't think that one's no better. I mean, all this stuff guaranteed came from Form Fonts. All right, let's add another folder. Let's add a folder, and under fixtures, faucets, kitchen, shower. I don't even know. I don't remember what these are all about. Yeah, same ones. Okay, that's fine. We'll leave it as it is. Close that window. Let's try the 3D warehouse. I hate to say it. I'm going to the 3D warehouse. Like, it's desperate times, man, when I'm on the 3D warehouse. Towel bar. And this one looks okay. Let's see what if it comes in like at a ridiculous scale. Like that. That's cool. I can live with that. Rotate that. Stick it to the wall. So, God. Let me do this again. I still like kind of find that I have to model things, you know, like, or move things twice to get it right. Again, I'm going to reiterate, model what model what you're being paid to model. Like, I don't get paid to model towel bars, right? So you just want to find one that looks right. I don't model faucets. I don't get paid to model faucets. I did model the grabs, but that was easy. But anyway, so, you know, make it a point to really only model what you're really supposed to be working on here. All right, so then let's go back to our 3D warehouse. And here's the issue too. It's like I find the towel bar, but then, you know, I need like the matching, I don't know, is there like a bathroom set or something like that? I don't know. Whatever. Let's, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Kind of. Traditional bathroom set, but really I want it to be more modern, but that looks slightly more promising, but not really what I need. Let's move on. Let's go to our shower for a moment. And you know, I could even, like, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to make a copy of this, and then I'm going to make it unique, and then we're going to kill that, and then we're going to make that unique, and now I can even explode that, and then I could, like, you know, trash this, group it, delete it, and then scoot this, and, you know, we could kind of call that our toilet paper holder. That would probably work just fine, and it at least matches what we got going on. And when it comes to that towel bar, I mean, you know, we could just kind of like turn that thing into something else. Let's try it. So let's make a copy of this, and then I will rotate it by 180, and then scoot that over here. And this guy, what is that doing? It's just kind of like a circle and a rectangle. So really, this isn't that close to what I really need. So I think I'm going to abandon that idea too. But I kind of like what I did with the toilet paper holder, and I'm going to then, let's see, I'll search towel ring. Appreciate the tip there. Hold on. Let's see. Here, we'll use another plugin real quick. Material replacer. I like this one. I'm going to replace this one with this one. I tend to use that one a lot. Okay, towel ring, John's telling me. So 3D warehouse. And let's go towel ring. Like, I really want, like, I just want the whole set, you know? That's what I really want. That was pretty close. Something. Kinda. That one looks pretty close, and it's a product, which I don't fully understand what we're doing with like products, models, catalogs, collections, because yeah, as far as I can tell, like products are kind of no longer there. I assume that those are like essentially models. Let's see. So now we'll go like that, and then I'm going to scale it to -1, like that. That'll do it, like that. And that looks pretty good. So maybe up a little bit. All right. And then, you know, just to kind of keep like the idea going, if I was going to do renderings, I might want to make sure that these are all the same material. So I replace this with that. And so that way, you know, when I'm swapping all those guys out, they all look the same. All right. Okay. Like that. So that looks pretty good. And let's see. Scooting back over here. So it points towards the toilet. That's fine. And yeah, okay. That all looks pretty good. And then yeah, so then maybe I would like throw in something for the shower here. So like, where did we look at our shower? It was kind of early on in this video. Like this. Okay, so it's kind of like I don't know what you call that. Some sort of European scenario. So we can do that. We'll go back into SketchUp and we'll go to our 3D warehouse. And we're going to, you know, actually, I believe I do have something decent in my collection. Like, yeah, that's not quite it. That's not quite it. That looks like a duplicate, to be honest. I feel like I'm just scrolling in a loop. Let's close that. Let's add a folder. And what does shower look like? That's probably what I was in. That I think would probably do it. You know, isn't that the deal? It's like never exactly what you need. It's close. So I'm going to throw that in there, rotate it by 90, and then just kind of get it into place like that. And then I'm going to grab, maybe I'll go with like this one and rotate it 90, scoot it out. That's like the worst. It's fine. We'll go with it like that. And all right, so now I'm going to drill in there, and this I want to grab, and that I don't need. This is yep, we'll scoot it out like that. And then I'm going to drill in there, and we'll like, oh, I see, this kind of already has it on there. Well, let's just do that. Let's just leave this be. Like I said, it doesn't need to be like absolute perfection when it comes to existing conditions, and especially if it's going to be demoed. You know, like if this is going to all like change around, which I don't even know if it will. I don't even know if we're doing any work on this, but it's probably fine just to leave it like that. All right. And on this trim, you know, this is kind of an interesting scenario here too. That's just kind of like simple white tile. So I might, let me see here. I might even just rip off the texture for the floor and make it all white like this. So then I would take that material, I'd make a new one like that, and then I would tap shift to swap it and then make it, you know, just kind of, I guess it is white, and it kind of goes horizontally. So let's right click, texture, position, rotate 90, and then let's bring this back to 24. So 24. Oh, texture, position, reset. Rotate 90, like that. Okay. Yeah. So that's probably fine for that. And then as far as like, let's go back to our scan like this. And okay, so that's like some sort of, we have like a different tile on the back. So like, you know, we could go in here and say this guy is going to be something different. So we'll go with like a stone, I suppose. Let's see again what they got for tile. So that's kind of like something like that. And then I would edit it, make it really dark and colorized with no saturation. Deselect it. And that's probably fine. And then the floor is going to be, was the floor red? Yeah. So the floor is kind of that same red. So I'll poach this from over here. Go like that. And like that. And then we have kind of like a stone, I think, or just a small tile down low. I'm going to just do something like this and make it, let's go back to our scan. It's just kind of a dark tile. Yeah. Let's just call it that. All right. Close enough to like paint the picture. All right. For our existing conditions. And, yeah, this isn't my favorite type of modeling to be doing. So I think I kind of want to, we're close. I'll button up the doors. We'll paint the trim. We need to paint the walls. So like to do that, I would typically, I would go with like, there are a few textures I do use. I think I'll go back to, let's just grab the stucco, what is it, cladding, siding, stucco. Like this stucco is kind of okay, but let's swap it. Let's go to edit and open up. I do have under resources, materials, indoor, plaster, regular, and drywall painted. It doesn't really look like much, to be honest, which is maybe a good thing. Yeah, I can't really tell what that is. Yeah, I need to spend some more time on my material and component collections. So I feel like maybe I have done that. So let's open a collection and let's go to Brightman Designs, resources, materials, and open that. And really this should be added to favorites like that, so that whenever I click this drop down, I can always get to BD materials and then go to like indoor plastic. Yeah, okay. I've done some of this. All right. So I'm going to select like this one. You know, these are, if I like tap shift, I mean, something like that is probably okay. More so than that. More so than that. And definitely not that. So I kind of liked, I think this one's probably accurate, you know. All right, so that looks okay, despite that texture. As I'm going, I'm always saving. So now let's, I think if we just get the, and then let's all elements on, and then hide rest of model. This needs to be painted. And then I'm going to freeze the floor. and then get in here, and this needs to be painted like that, and make that, and reset. Okay, so now, I think the next few things we need to do to really get this existing condition sorted all the way, we need a concrete material here. So again, I can go back to like my BD materials. I'm gonna go to outdoor concrete, and I'll just paint it with like they had some, there were some, scores in there, but I think that's good enough. All right, so now we want to like get our doors dialed in. And so when I look at these doors, like here's kind of a typical example, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 equal panels on that door. So I'm going to jump over here, drill in, hide rest of model. I'm going to make a copy of this and say 9 divided by enter. And that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like that. All right. I'm inside of a dynamic component, so I do kind of want to tread lightly here. For this, I would say, you kind of want like those ridges there. So I think I'm just going to make a copy. We're just going to make it look right, like 0.25, and then I'm going to copy this straight down and do 8 times, and then I'm going to push it 0.25, and then double click and double click, double click, double click, and like that. And I think the first time I modeled this, I actually made those pieces into a component, but I don't even know if that's the right approach. So, all right, so now here's going to be a kind of a nice little trick. I need this to happen on the other side too. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to triple click. I'm going to go back to that flip tool, tap Control. We should be set up right on the center like that. And there you go. All right, except we just got a little bit of cleanup here. I'm going to undo that. So we're going to do everything. All right, watch this. I'm going to right click Align View, and we're going to go back to that Hide Similar Components. We're going to go to a parallel projection. We're going to select all, and then I'm going to remove these pieces from the selection. And then I'm going to go to my flip tool, tap Control, and hit that red one, and then go look at the results. Oh, and so that didn't work because the flip was kind of too close. I'm going to hit undo. Let's try that again. Select all, remove from selection, and then we'll just flip it and get it out away like that, and then we'll move it back into place like that. And I still didn't get it right. That's okay, whatever. We can just go through and trim these guys up. So like this, and that's fine. All right, let's keep going. So, this is like, I guess this is the point of these longer format live streams and just kind of working along. I do feel like I've got this like sinking feeling that this isn't all that interesting to watch, but I suppose when the recording comes, you can always fast forward if this isn't exactly what you need to be working on. But yeah, this is all part of it. It's how we get it done. So the point is to trudge through the mud with me as I fumble around and sort all this stuff out. So now we need like a wood texture to paint on here. So I'm going to go to our, again, the materials are really bad. So let's go to BD Materials Indoor Wood. I'm sure I've got something that looks decent, like kind of gets a little bit of grain on there. The only, those are all kind of like wood flooring. But if I go to texture position and make it bigger, and then it's going to repeat in a weird way, If I do that, that doesn't look that bad actually. A little too strong though. You know, the only wood that SketchUp has that looks okay, I think, is this like wood cherry veneer. But like, again, it's like drives me nuts that it comes in out of scale, you know? Like, I don't understand why we don't just like get this, you know, and this wood cherry veneer has been in there for like literally 20 years. And you have to like do that and then go to texture position, rotate 90, enter, and then sample that rotated. And then we're going with more of like a kind of a golden tone on that. So I can edit this, colorize it, and definitely, yeah, something like that. So, and again, you know, like once this, if I were doing renderings, once it gets over into Lumion, I would be, you know, more apt to just swap it out with something they got going on over there. Okay, so that looks decent. And then trim wise, you know, I could like select it, hit I to isolate my trim. And again, this is where, you know, as you go, you can be kind of working on all your tagging. It doesn't all have to happen in one shot. So if I isolated my trim and I'm seeing fixtures, well, I can just go in here and say, well, those are actually level 1 fixtures interior existing, and get rid of them. And same thing with that. That's level 1 fixtures interior existing, like that. All right. And that looks pretty decent. Okay, so now I could just kind of drill in here and just kind of paint everything the way it should be. When it comes to the grain, you know, you can see that there's like miter cuts on these guys. So yeah, if we're going to make renderings, this would be worth kind of going through and fixing those. And then I really dislike that cherry material, but we'll get it all painted and then we can like then we can make that decision. Here's what I'm going to do is like I'm going to grab all this stuff, all this trim, like just the wood trim, and like that, and we're going to just like get rid of the tags. We're going to group it and like, okay, I got it all. And then I'm going to like, you know, level 1 trim interior existing. And then we're going to go in there, hide rest of model. I'm going to select all. And then I'm going to paint it like this. Because there isn't really any advantage to having the trim broken up into these like individual pieces. So, you know, that looks pretty decent like that. So now I can go through and like break these planes so that I can get, you know, right click, let's see. So we go right click. Oh, this is like a, I'll bet you I painted the outside of this. Yeah. So this is like one of those little gotchas. If you right click and you're not seeing texture position, usually, or I think the only reason that would happen is because this is actually the default material, which you can see here, and I've painted the outside of it. So I'm going to select all, and let's just bring all these guys back to the default material. And then we're going to explode everything, select it, and then we're going to paint it like that. And now I should be able to like right click, texture position, right click, rotate 90, enter. All right, and I think I got a nice little trick. Like, let's go through and like slice all the miter cuts. That should be pretty easy. So we'll go like this, and I don't care about the back. You know, I don't need to do it for the back side. So we'll just do this and this, and like that. Orbit around. And draw this like that, and like that, And there. Yeah, I can tell you that like whatever effort you put into the existing conditions model, it's going to pay off for sure on your proposed conditions, especially if you're doing renderings. Because if we had just moved on and said, hey, we're good to go, and then you get to the point of doing renderings, you'd have to do all this stuff anyway. So it's good just to like get it all done. Okay, so now I've got this texture here is set up, is kind of like oriented in this direction. So what I could do is sample that and then select all the top like that. You know, and I'm going to paint all of these. So whenever you have a selection active, you can like paint them all at the same time. And then I need to select this guy and go say texture position, rotate 90, enter, and then sample that. And now I can draw like, you know, all this stuff is all going to be kind of a horizontal grain. What happened there? Sample that. Oh, I don't want to, or I'm sorry, a vertical grain. I want to undo that. Yeah, I only want to grab this stuff. That's our vertical grain. So now we can sample like that. Okay. Should be good. Cool. Hit reset. We're back in action. And then also, I think that these doors, yeah, like there's kind of like the whole inside has like a bit of a trim to it. So let's hide rest of model, and I'll just kind of look at the model from below, and we'll go like this and just kind of paint all these doors in there like that. Like that. And like that. That. All right. Looking good. All right. Save that. And then I'm just going to hop over into layout and see like what happens when I update. If anything goofy kind of jumps around over there. All right, so we've got like, you know, these fixtures and the towel. So a little trick with like the towel, you know, I might not want that towel to show the way it is. So you can set that to be your 3D object. So if I double click in here and tag that as a 3D object, 3D objects don't show up in plan. So 3D objects never show up in your plan, only 2D graphics. So, and 2D graphics don't show up in section, elevation, and perspective. So for section, elevation, and perspective, you get your 3D object. For plans, you get your 2D graphic. So whenever you do that, though, you got to make sure that, like, if I go back and look at like existing conditions plan light, looks like we're good. We should be good here, and I'm going to save it. But let me see if this actually updates right here. Okay, so see, that didn't go away. And this is kind of a common gotcha with Condoc, is that we need to hit the scene, update, and save. What that does is it like reminds all the scenes, kind of like refreshes all of our tagging. So if you've assigned new tags, you got to hit that scene, update, and save. And now when I move over here, it goes away as expected. So just a little gotcha. I mean, I think you could even do like, you know, change your keyboard shortcut of Control S to be the scene, update, and save if you're using Condoc, because that way, you know, you'd never make that mistake. But really, it's not a big deal. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to get a little sip of water here. Get the lay of the land. We're in 2 hours. So I don't know. I think we're doing pretty good. You know, it looks like we're moving along at a decent pace. If I look at this again, kind of sizing this whole thing up, we've got, you know, what else would I really want to do for my existing conditions? I really don't need to like get too hung up on this guy here. We could go like, you know, paint that with like a white in the model. I'm just gonna add a new material, paint all that. We could get in and go after all these like can lights, but honestly, I think those are fine the way they are. You know, really, this all looks pretty good. So let's see. Let me know if there's anything else. If you guys have questions, you know, I'm probably getting close to wrapping it up. I think that like a good breaking point for this project would be our existing conditions model. And, you know, then next time we work on this one, you know, we'll really get into the proposed conditions with our demolition plan and proposed conditions drawings, the whole thing. So then we'll probably like, you know, pick like a different sheet size and carry on like that. So let's see. Yeah. All right. I think, you know, I'm going to cut it there, and I'll hang for just a moment to see if you guys have any questions. But yeah, as far as our first go, oh man, I would say that this was, at least tech-wise, this was a success. I was able to run the whole thing on my machine, and you know, I'm kind of like, I'm also, you know, taking a look at like where we're at with like the lag. I feel like maybe we're lagging a bit, but anyways, if you guys have any questions, hit me up in the chat panel. I'll hang for another, like, say 2 minutes and see how far behind you guys are on the live stream. But I really appreciate you coming in today, and you know, this will be okay. So hey, Billy G, that gives me a good idea of like our lag here. Appreciate you chiming in. The recording will be immediately available. Like, you could just kind of watch this thing on YouTube. So I'm going to probably take the recording and then just, you know, pick a few pieces out of it that are of interest and throw those out as videos. But yeah, the live stream recording will be available right away, so you can start from the beginning and check it out. So yeah, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. So right on. Well, hey, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate you being in here. Thanks for coming in, and yeah, we'll do it again next Thursday. And it's now that I'm feeling a little bit more, you know, confident having one of these under my belt, we'll get into some something a little bit more daunting, I think, next week. We'll see. So I'm with you, Mark. It's thanks, John. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's like there really is just like a default collection of like materials and objects that it seems like, you know, SketchUp should just have out there as like a curated collection of, like, if you're putting together a house, these are just generic, like, these are all the pieces you need. And so I don't know. It's like, I guess I could probably, that might be on me, or maybe we hit up like Matt Wheeler for his dynamic component boneyard collection and all that. So Malin, thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, so we'll always, you know, that could be another topic someday, is, you know, the format, as the format goes, there is no format really. It's just, hey, working on projects. I just picked these 2 projects as like a starting point, and you know, if there's something new to talk about, I'll talk about that. I just didn't want to have to like plan it out, you know. It always comes out, you know, they're more polished when you like really sort it out and practice it, but man, it takes a lot of work. So this way we'll just hit go and see what comes of it. So anyways, let's see, the app I use for it's delete coplanar edges. So that one is delete coplanar edges, SketchUp. Oh, let's see. TomTom says use cleanup. That was like 12 years ago. And so maybe cleanup would be worth, you know, I've just had I've had delete coplanar edges forever, and I just got used to using it. But apparently cleanup might be the one. This is probably where I got it. It's unavailable. I believe the Smustard is from the same guys as Form Fonts. I think that they kind of gave up. I feel where they're coming from, but I'm not ready to give up yet. So anyways, delete coplanar edges, but I wouldn't. I would say check out TomTom's cleanup. That might be the place to go. Let me see. If I go to not extension warehouse, we want extension, or not extension manager, we want extension warehouse. Cleanup. It's free. It's by the legend TomTom. We'll install. Yes. And okay. And then cleanup. Let's see. Delete. And like, let me go back to the extension warehouse and see if there's like a dependency for cleanup. So cleanup 3. Am I just missing that? Is like TomTom cleanup, Spot. Always a good idea to close SketchUp and then reopen it if you're not seeing what you were looking for. And all right. Yeah, I'm not familiar with cleanup, so I don't know if it's supposed to be a toolbar or if, like, you know, I'm just supposed to like right click and clean up. So kind of coming up short here. I know TomTom sometimes, I thought he used to like put a TT in front of it. And once you get all these extensions going, yeah, I don't know. So maybe that's, you know, I won't fumble around with that too much more, but let's see. If you shoot me an email, I can give you that delete coplanar edges. Just mike@brightmandesigns.com. I'll fire that back to you. Cool. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to go get some lunch. Hope you guys enjoyed it and appreciate you being here. And I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you.